I never thought I'd be the kind of person to cheat. But one night, something shifted. Nathan and I had been married for 5 years, but the spark between us had slowly faded. We fell into a routine, one that left me feeling empty. Our conversations felt forced, our moments together often drowned out by silence. The intimacy that had once been the foundation of our relationship was gone, replaced by the mundane paying bills, cleaning the house, dealing with the everyday. The laughter we used to share seemed like a distant memory, and the connection I once had with him was fading. I wasn't unhappy, not in the way people think of it, but I felt lonely. I craved excitement, something different, but I wasn't brave enough to admit it. Nathan had always been a steady, reliable presence, but somewhere along the way, I began to wonder if there was more out there for me. I wasn't sure what I wanted, but I knew I didn't want to keep living in this dull, predictable space. So when I got invited to go out with some friends to a club, I hesitated, but ultimately said yes. It was just a night out, right? I told myself it was harmless, a way to clear my head, to have a little fun. Nathan wasn't thrilled about me going, but I could tell he wasn't angry either. He just didn't understand why I needed to go out. He probably didn't even notice the ache in my chest, the quiet longing for something that wasn't there anymore. As soon as I walked into the club, something in the air hit me. The flashing lights, the booming music, the energy, it was intoxicating. For the first time in a long time, I felt alive. I pushed the thoughts of Nathan out of my head and let myself get caught up in the chaos. The music was loud, the crowd was electric, and for a moment, everything felt like a blur. I didn't have to think about anything. I didn't have to be anyone's wife or feel responsible for anything. And that's when I saw him. He was standing near the bar, talking to a group of people, his presence undeniable. Confidence practically radiated off him, and for a brief second I was drawn to him like a magnet. He was the kind of person who could command attention without even trying, everything Nathan wasn't anymore. My heart skipped a beat. It felt silly, but I couldn't ignore the pull I felt toward him. I didn't think I'd ever meet someone like that in my life again. In that moment, I wasn't just someone's wife, I was me. And I felt good. We talked. It felt so easy, effortless. He was everything Nathan wasn't, spontaneous, carefree, and most importantly, he made me feel seen. The way he looked at me, really looked at me, was different from the way Nathan did these days. Nathan had become so familiar that he no longer noticed the little things about me, the changes, the way I had evolved over the years. But this man, he saw me, the woman I used to be before life and responsibility got in the way. He made me feel like I mattered, like I wasn't just someone's wife or just someone in the crowd. I was more than that. I was something worth paying attention to. And that feeling was addictive. We laughed, shared stories, and for a moment I forgot about my life at home. I forgot about the fact that I was married, that I had responsibilities, that I was supposed to be someone's partner. None of that seemed important anymore. For the first time in months, I felt alive. My body felt lighter, my mind clearer. The weight of my routine, of my obligations, seemed to slip away as I spent more time with him. He was charming, funny, and so incredibly easy to talk to. There was no pressure, no expectations, just two people connecting in a way that felt rare and exciting. One drink turned into two, and the conversation flowed more freely than I'd ever expected. I could feel the chemistry building between us, the undeniable pull. It wasn't just his words, but the way he looked at me, the way his touch lingered just a little longer than necessary as we talked. Every touch, every smile, every laugh felt charged with energy, and I told myself it didn't mean anything. I was just having fun. But the more we interacted, the more I realized I wanted this feeling to last. I wanted more of it. Before I knew it, we were dancing. He held me close, our bodies moving to the beat of the music. The rhythm seemed to sync up with my heartbeat, and in that moment I felt completely free. I didn't care about the world around me. I didn't care about the life I was leaving behind, even if just for a few hours. It was just us, lost in the music, in the heat of the moment, and that was when it happened. I kissed him. I didn't even think about it. It was as if my body acted on its own, pulling me closer to him. The kiss was electric, everything I had been missing in my life. I didn't stop to question it, didn't wonder about the consequences. All I knew was that it felt right in that moment. For those few minutes, nothing else mattered. It was just me, him, and a moment of pure, unfiltered passion. The next morning, I woke up feeling like a stranger in my own bed. Nathan had already left for work, probably clueless about what had happened the night before, but I couldn't shake the feeling in my chest. It wasn't just guilt, it was shame. I could feel it sinking into my skin, seeping through every pore. The memories from the club were still fresh, but they no longer felt exciting or freeing. Instead, they felt like a weight I couldn't escape. I tried to push it all out of my mind, to focus on the fact that Nathan wasn't angry, that he hadn't found out, but I knew deep down it was only a matter of time. The thought of facing him, of him finding out what I had done, made my stomach turn. I hated myself for it, for allowing myself to slip so easily into that moment. How had I gotten here? How had I let myself kiss someone else, let myself betray the person who had trusted me more than anyone else? The whole thing felt so out of character, so wrong, and yet, a part of me couldn't stop replaying it. The kiss, the way it felt electric, alive, like nothing I had felt in ages. The excitement, the thrill, the way he made me feel desired again, something Nathan had stopped doing months ago. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I was just lying to myself. It wasn't just about the kiss, or the fact that it had made me feel something I thought I had lost. It was deeper than that. It was about my own dissatisfaction with my life, with my marriage, with myself. I hadn't felt truly seen by Nathan in such a long time, and for a few hours this stranger had made me feel like I mattered. That was the real problem. The kiss was just a symptom of a much bigger issue I had been ignoring for too long. I tried to convince myself it wasn't a big deal, just a kiss. After all, but I knew better. I had crossed a line, and that was something I couldn't take back. Nathan didn't deserve this. He deserved someone who was faithful, someone who didn't crave attention from another man just because they were feeling neglected. I didn't know how to fix it, how to go back to the way things were before all of this. The guilt was suffocating, but the temptation still lingered. The more I tried to push it away, the stronger it became, leaving me in a constant state of turmoil. A week later, everything came crashing down. Nathan came home early one evening and found me sitting on the couch, lost in my thoughts. The silence between us was thick, and I knew something was off. I could feel it in my bones. The way he looked at me, the way he hesitated before speaking, it was different. It wasn't anger, not yet, but there was a shift in the air. His eyes searched mine as if trying to find something he had lost, something I had taken from him. And then, out of nowhere, Nathan asked me if something had happened. I didn't say anything at first. I just stared at him, my mind racing. How did he know? How much did he know? I couldn't bring myself to say it, to admit what I had done. The weight of the secret I had been carrying for days seemed to suffocate me. I tried to keep calm, tried to convince myself that he hadn't figured it out, that maybe he was just being paranoid, but deep down I knew. He had found out. Somehow he could tell. The look on his face, his eyes wide with a mix of hurt and disbelief, was enough to confirm it. He wasn't mad at me, not yet, but he was hurt, he was confused, and he didn't understand why. I could see it in his eyes, the trust slowly slipping away, piece by piece. I wanted to apologize, to explain myself, but I didn't know where to start. How could I explain something so selfish, something that didn't make sense even to me? I wanted to say something that would make everything right, that would take the pain away, but the words wouldn't come. He didn't yell, he didn't throw accusations, he didn't even cry. Instead, he looked at me with a kind of sadness that was worse than any anger he could have shown. It was like he was seeing me for the first time, but it wasn't the woman he had married. I was someone else now, someone he didn't recognize, and that hurt more than anything. Then, just like that, he left. He packed his things quietly, and without another word, he walked out the door. There was no fight, no dramatic confrontation, just the deafening sound of him leaving. And I stood there, frozen, feeling like everything I had built with him was crumbling in front of my eyes. I couldn't stop him. I didn't even try. I was too numb to do anything. The reality of what I had done hit me all at once, and I realized that I had lost him. And this time, there was no going back. I haven't seen Nathan since that night. I tried to reach out, tried calling and texting, but he hasn't responded, and I don't blame him. What could I possibly say? What words could fix the mess I made? I keep thinking that if I could just explain, if I could just make him understand why it happened, maybe there would be a chance for us to rebuild what we had. But deep down, I know that's not going to happen. I destroyed everything, and now I have to face the consequences. It's been weeks, and the silence is deafening. I walk around our house, but it feels like a stranger's home. His things are still here, his presence still lingers in the air, but it's all so empty now. The space that was once filled with his laughter, his warmth, is gone. It feels like I'm living in a shell of the life we had, a life I wrecked with my own hands. I think about how it used to be, how we used to talk about our future, the dreams we shared. Now, those dreams feel like distant memories. I don't know what's left to salvage. I thought I would feel relief after the confession, like I could finally breathe after holding my secret for so long. But all I feel now is regret. The guilt that followed me home that night has only grown heavier. I wake up every day wishing I could go back and undo everything. I want to go back to the way things were before I let this stranger in, before I kissed him, before I tore apart the life Nathan and I had worked so hard to build. But I can't. The damage is done. I've betrayed him in a way I never thought I was capable of. I wish I could say that I've learned from this, that I've changed, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can ever forgive myself. What hurts the most is knowing that I'll never be able to take back what I did to him, to us. I keep thinking about the look on Nathan's face when he left. It wasn't anger, it wasn't hatred, it was disappointment. And I can't escape the thought that I am the one who let him down. I'm the one who broke everything. The worst part? I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to forgive myself.